MHN Property Management and Bondoc Roofing present what can be evaluated during the roof inspection for the buyer.
Hi, this is Courtney Rosen, broker and owner of MHN Property Management in San Antonio, Texas. Today I'm talking with a representative of one of our favorite roofers, Bondoc Roofing. Roofs are obviously a big part of housing and keeping the tenants dry and taking care of everyone inside. And Bondoc is one of our favorite roofers that we've been using for quite a while now.
Hey, we love working with you guys.
Oh,
You're amazing.
Thanks. So the theme for today is what can and cannot be evaluated during the option period of a contract during a real estate transaction. So to give that a little bit of context, I like to say that when you're buying a house, there are three parts. The first is when you're doing the offer period, and it's really about what the seller and what the seller wants. And then you have the option period, which the buyer pays for and buys the ability to be the only person looking at the house and to actually evaluate and have an inspector go look at it. So you have a better idea of what you're buying. And then it goes into the appraisal, so it's all about the lender. But we want to focus on that option period and how you can help make sure that you're getting a good, solid house. And obviously, the most important part for keeping it dry and all buttoned up is the roof. So with that in context, like what can you actually see during the option period, like when you get on that roof?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that you can take a look at and a lot of things that you also, are hidden. So since you don't own the house, you can't necessarily lift up all the shingles and see what's going on. But some really big things that you can be taking a look at is if there's hail or storm damage of any kind, that can be easily assessed. If your roofer can estimate about how much life is left in the roof. So maybe your seller is saying, oh, it's 10 years, but really it only has 3 years left. So they'll be able to properly tell you that. We can assess if there's proper ventilation, if all the accessories are properly sealed, they're not going to leak on you the next time it rains. And then also we can get into the attic to really look at the decking underneath, see if there's any signs of rotten decking or water damage there as well.
And is that a little bit more detailed or less detailed of what an inspector can do when they go to look at the roof?
It's a lot less detailed because an inspector isn't necessarily a roofing expert, so they're just looking at what they see, what you can see from the ground. Usually they're not even getting on top of the roof. So yeah, their photos aren't super detailed because they're not looking at all those specifics when it comes to the roof.
I will say that most inspections here, when they come through, will say, hey, get a licensed technician to look at your HVAC. And I'm going to tell you, hey, get a licensed roofer to look at your roof.
Yes.
Because roofs are a lot more expensive than the HVAC. At least mine is. I have a tile roof. And just as a story, we had, when we looked at the roof, we saw that there's some patchwork. And I looked at the older photos that were listed in MLS, and I said, hey, we know there's some leaks. And I was expecting some roof issues when we got it. But in my neighborhood, there are tile roofs that were not put on correctly. So when we went to patch it, we realized we had to redo the entire roof. There's no way anyone could have told us that before we bought the house.
Yeah.
Because you just can't pick up the tiles, which we'll talk about that too.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so you're gonna go see in the attic, you're gonna go check out the decking. I know that recently we had an issue with a low slope roof.
Yes.
So tell me what you can and cannot see on a roof that does not have a steep slope.
Yeah, on low sloped roofs, something that gets missed a lot, it wasn't always like a code thing, it's required and it's very important to keep the roof from leaking, is valley metal. In those valleys, the points where the two slopes of the roof meet.
Yeah.
If it's a low sloped roof and there's no metal there, it's going to seep and it's going to leak. That you can take a look at on those low sloped roofs. Usually you can just lift up the edge of the shingle and peek and make sure it's there. However, on low sloped roof, it's really required that you have 2 layers of that underlayment underneath the shingles. That you cannot check.
Yeah.
If it's there or not, because you can't, fully rip up the shingles because it's not your house. You can't check to see if that's there.
No, guys, during the option period, it's not your house. You cannot break it.
No, yes. Please don't tear up the shingles if it's not yours.
Yeah, not yours yet. So you might get some surprises. There's a limit to what you can evaluate.
Yeah.
Okay, so So, and on that also, when it comes to roofs in general, is if they just put shingles on top of old shingles and they didn't properly prepare the decking or patch any issues that were prior, there's no way to know that.
Yeah, there's really not. Unfortunately, like we said, we can't tear up the shingles, so you can't see if there's a whole, another roof underneath that you don't know is there. 'Cause
Okay.
that has happened before.
So there's a little bit of limit of what you can see, but definitely worth getting a roofer out there.
Yes, and I will say make sure they get in the attic and take a look at the attic, because a lot of things can be assessed from inside the attic. Not everything when it comes to the decking, but a good portion of it.
Good to know. All right, so that is Courtney Rosen with MHN Property Management in San Antonio, Texas, signing off, and
Natalia Russo with Bondoc Roofing in San Antonio, Texas.
And how you can evaluate a roof during the option period and what to look for. Hope that was helpful. See you next time.